Welcome back to the premier match of today. Week 2, Day 1, SoaR taking on Most Wanted Esports. Two teams that are undefeated heading in to this week. And honestly, Most Wanted was the team that I was kind of thinking was on the edge, on the verge of being able to break between, Eager and SoaR.
Very strong performances by both these two teams in their first week. They were both able to beat out Elevate in their first week. And now, with a lot of time to prepare for one another, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategies they have for one another.
So let's get into picks and bans game 1 here. We'll see who is on the order side, and it's going to be SoaR. So first pick for them, something to note, is they do have a substitute, normally playing with aggro in the mid lane. Instead, it's SamBam.
And so going off these first picks, we've seen a recurring theme so far today for the very moment where it's been Athena constantly.
Yes. Or banned or picked.
Banned or picked, more or less.
Susano as well, been banned pretty heavily. Raijin, and then Guanyu. Guanyu hasn't seen a game yet. He's actually been banned away by the second phase, and I think that's because both teams are willing to first pick it.
Just not wanting to deal with that kind of sustain.
Yeah.
The longer the team fights go on, they could have potentially learned to kind of deal with the Guanyu as well if they wanted to. Some teams could have the counter picks, whether it's the Sarkad for the anti-healing, whether it's the Odin for the anti-healing, but they'd rather just not deal with it. And exactly the same theme, Most Wanted banning away the Guan.
Athena, like you said, taken away as well. I don't think we'll see anything too crazy here. Probably going to be Susano or Thor, whatever Most Wanted don't want to kind of face off against. And it's actually going to be Al Kwong. So both of the top junglers left open right now. And Most Wanted, they probably want SoaR to go to Susano pick, because Most Wanted love to run the Isis. So running Isis Thor is just so dominant in the early game. And I like this. Just take it away from him.
Chapu gonna pick up the Thor right now. Gonna have a lot of mobility with that global presence. It's a very safe first pick.
And Isis, I mean, I don't expect anything else here, at least in the early phase, unless Most Wanted have kind of expanded their god pools and, gone into some different strategies. Ho Yi picked up. That's a little bit surprising to me, but there is the Isis over to Clow.
Early game advantage, mid lane. Ice is one of the stronger mid laners that you want to have on your team, especially against a Thor during the Berserker Barrage. You want to be able to stop that. You have two options, so.
And so we're going to be looking to respond here. Probably going to be looking for their mid lane, or otherwise Most Wanted going to be banning those out in the second phase. And you don't want to get put that far behind. Unless, okay, I was going to say a Wheelish, but then I realized that Thor's already picked up. However, Chapo did run a Wheelish in the solo lane, but he's in the jungle now. And it is going to be Ravana. So it's going to be a pretty dominating solo laner over to, I believe it's Uzzy, as he faces off against Wolves.
Really aggressive solo jungle composition from SoaR. If they wanted to, they could play very aggressive early on in level 1. Maybe look for an invade, especially against a Nemesis early on.
Yeah, and the Nemesis is going to get picked up to be the anti-Sobek. We talked about it last match, where we did see the Nemesis banned in the second phase after Elevate had picked up the Sobek. And this is just because the second Sobek goes in, right, even if he finds his pluck, he's still put in that spot, which means immediately gets hit by the Nemesis ulti and piled in.
Surprisingly enough, SoaR, they're going to ban away the Odin. Even they have their solo support and jungle, so they don't really have a good spot to pick the Odin. But on their side of things, the Thor can easily get away from the Odin cage. Ravana can ultimate away. Sobek's the only one that's really at risk right now. So it's interesting to see what kind of composition they're thinking of that Odin would have countered. Maybe it would have been a raw pick for SoaR coming up.
It's possible here, and Bacchus going to be banned away as well. So no counter to Sobek. Obviously, can't be knocked up while he's burping, which is what Sobek likes to do. He likes to knock you up. And then Khepri for the late game. So Most Wanted a pretty versatile draft, I would say. Obviously, the Isis is going to control that early game mid. However, the Ho Yi translates across all stages, and then the Nim and Khepri for late.
The way the Nemesis is going to be able to dive the backline with Khepri bailing her out. So the Giannis would have been a nice pickup for SoaR, but with that not on the table for them, they're going to lock in the Scylla. With the Thor setup, the Scylla can find the crush very easily off of her root as well.
Honestly, there's a ton of setup coming out from SoaR, right? The Thor is the main one, but the Sobek, when he plucks you, as long as you've practiced it, you know exactly where that opponent's going to land. Ravana has a root as well as some slows. And then Anhur, he's got an impale. He can stun you to the wall or just throw up that pillar and make it so much harder for you to get out of that circle.
Last pick from Most Wanted is going to be the Cabrakan, trying to have that early game pressure in the solo lane, specifically with the Mark of the Vanguard purple pot. More than likely going to be very reoccurring start from the Cabrakans, whether it's in the console or the PC.
And how do you feel about this Cabrakan pickup? But this is just for the lane matchup against Ravana, because honestly, SoaR, I mean, basically everyone can get out of that ultimate, right? No one's going to be too trapped in.
During the laning phase, the Ravana can't really stop the Tremors. So it's just going to be that situation where Cabrakan is going to be out clearing the Ravana very early on. So with the purple pot as well, you're going to be out poking the Ravana, and that's what you want to really do as early as on, making sure that the Ravana loses as much gold as possible in the early laning phase.
So for me, though, this solo lane will be interesting. Uzzy has been a staple on the console on SCL for quite some time. He used to play for the Eager squad last year. Now he's kind of gone over to SoaR after Weekend left the squad, which means that opening was filled up. And he's going to be matched up against Wolves, considered to be one of the best solo laners on console here, and he has been shown to be incredibly dominant so far in the 4 games they've played. So how is Uzzy going to kind of deal with this? He is on the Ravana, and is this just something that he's going to have to, you know, worry about in the laning phase against the Cabrakan?
Once he gets a little bit more levels online, about level 7 or higher, then he can start to try to outtrade the Cabrakan, but up until that point in time, he has to be very careful. He could also sort of bait himself out as long as Chapu's around the corner with that Thor trying to look for an early gank. That could be something that SoaR could try to exploit.
The Nemesis as well, paired up with the Cabrakan, you got to be a little bit worried about being aggressive on the Ravana, because even though your ult will be able to, you know, create that distance, I mean, you're still going to be slowed, as well as having your protection stripped away 50% now at all ranks ever since the buff. So something that I would say Uzzy has to take care of as well.
It's interesting to see this mid-jungle synergy between these two teams. Now, you have Thor and Scylla, where the Thor is going to provide a lot of early game pressure trying to set up the Scylla. Scylla on her own kind of struggles against Isis in the 1v1 situation, but then you have Isis Nemesis, which is a little bit weaker than the Thor Scylla, I would say. So in the 1v1, I would give it to the Isis here, but in the 2v2, I would give it to SoaR.
And I would imagine it's going to be a pretty heavy 2v2. We've seen Clow like to kind of sacrifice himself for his team. He plays a very utility Isis, where he actually goes into, you know, an early breastplate or an early winged blade as well. All he wants to do is kind of get off as many abilities as possible, like the stuns, like the silences, as well as having those ultimates up because of the CDR, so where he can, you know, force those gold furies. So it is an interesting kind of dilemma where I don't think Cloud's going to be trying to 1v1 anyone. And normally, Most Wanted, they run these very aggro mid-jungle combos, but this time, they're not really going to have that chance.
It's not a bad idea to go utility Isis in this position against Sobek that might overextend with the pluck. You also have the Nemesis ulti to try to blow him up in response. You have the Huyi mark of the Golden Crow, which is going to be amplifying all his in-hands, just doing that much more damage later on.
Game 1, though, SoaR taking on Most Wanted. Both teams undefeated, but someone's going to have to lose here. They could split, though, and they'll still be top 2, but I don't think SoaR's going to be looking for that. They're definitely the favorites heading into this matchup, even with their sub.
Very aggressive warding coming out of Most Wanted, making sure they spot where the speed buff, the start between the solo jungle coming out of SoaR. They want to make sure that speed buff is going to be started, and they're not going to try any kind of shenanigans.
Okay, this is just to make sure they don't get invaded, right? Not gonna see Most Wanted invade, you think?
It could be potentially if they feel confident enough, but with a Nemesis level 1, I don't realistically expect that kind of an invade coming out.
And Wolves actually has gone into the Mark of the Vanguard. I don't think we've seen
Khepri's going to invade. He has the Wrath. He's going to wrap around and invade.
Is he real?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's in the solo lane. He's going to wrap around. He's going to do the invade.
Is this worth the risk? Speedwolf going to be started up here.
He has to get there really quick.
Matt Koiz coming around the corner. He's going to find it. It's going to be a speedy bug, the fast bug.
Man, getting plucked by that bug.
Pissed.
Yeah, I would not want to be up against Matt Koiz right now with that speed buff. And he's going to head straight to dual lane. Actually, no, he's going to push out mid lane right now, waiting for the Isis to regroup. Just going to soak up some experience while he waits to go back.
Yeah. I like this, actually, because he will be splitting the wave, actually stealing away one creep from Clow, but because there was only 2 members on the left-hand side, it was a little bit slower to clear out that red buff, as well as, as well as the Harpies.
Most Wanted, gonna basically steal away the speed buff, and now they have complete control of these mid harpies. Now they're sacrificing their dual lane on the Hu Yi in this situation. They're still able to get the boars because of the fact that the Hu Yi was able to ricochet
I
triple
think
bounce.
the Hu Yi, I think they started the boars and then went to the red buff because we saw Clow finish there.
It was level 2 when he got to the mid lane, so that was a very important start. It was very well calculated coming out of Most Wanted. They knew what exactly their strengths lies, forcing the purification already, barely even into the 1 minute mark on the Anhur.
Oh, now Chapo in a little bit of trouble here. He's gonna short teleport to his hammer. But the problem is that SoaR tried to respond by going over to these mid-harpies. However, Keegs actually got forced out there. He took so much damage, also purified, and then had to jump away, which gave the Hu Yi dominance in the dual lane back.
So their only weakness, Most Wanted, was the Hu Yi, but with the fact that they started those boards, now they have no weakness because SoaR wasn't able to steal that away from Most Wanted. Hu Yi having a pretty good advantage as well, level 4 compared to the Anhur level 3.
And about a 700 gold lead for the team as well, so Most Wanted, I mean, they came prepared for this. 1,300 experience, so every advantage in their favor right now. Even Wolves against Uzzy is just bullying him out with this power pot and Vanguard start.
Okay, so with this start, Most Wanted get a very comfortable lead. Now, the question is, how are they going to keep transitioning this lead? They have to put this Khepri in a position to invade constantly with this Wrath, and there's going to need to be about 3 or 4 people on this next speed buff for Most Wanted.
And look at this, Keegs in a little bit of trouble, same with Brochacho, as the level 4 Transonics pokes away at them. They still, I mean, they still have Thor Scylla on her, so like, this is a team that kind of, or a composition that pretty much translates throughout the game, I would imagine.
They can always look for those opportunities around corners, but Sobek is going to take advantage of the fact Khepri's going to pull. There is no dash available for Sobek. He's going to get knocked up. That could be another, not going to find the kill.
Oh, man.
Just barely off the mark. It was max range.
That sprint. And honestly, I think that was a little bit of a misplay from Keegs. He actually jumps and hits Brochacho, but he knocks him out of the Hu Yi ult 1 level early. If he had moved his jump a little bit to the left, honestly, he would have knocked Brochacho back into the Suns.
That was just a really missed opportunity, but still, regardless, forced the Sobek out. He's going to miss a lot of gold and experience, and now there's a lot of aggression from Most Wanted, positioning themselves around this red buff. XCynosurex is thinking about looking for somebody that's coming around mid lane.
Brochacho's like, hey guys, don't go around that corner though. They're trying to set up for a kill here, and red buff going to go for free over to Most Wanted. Chapo walking around the corner, a little bit too late for it. Oh, but Clow actually puts himself into an awkward position trying to pick up the buff, and he gets impaled into the wall, and down comes Chapo. Not enough damage though. The Ice Assault will keep Clow alive, and SamBam off the mark on his ult as well. Matt Koiz trying to keep up the aggression, but he can't find the pluck, and Most Wanted, they just walk away with the red buff.
As the dust settles, red buff going into the favor of Most Wanted. Clow picking that up. They also take away the boars from SoaR, so small and slow and steady increments gaining is Most Wanted. They're always looking for these opportunities right off the get-go.
Yeah, they had about that 700 gold lead we talked about just a minute ago. Now it's 1,000, so just not trying to risk anything, working as a unit, a 4-member invade, and it's just something that SoaR can't respond to unless Chapo is ulting into them at the start instead of kind of, you know, choreographing exactly what he's going to do when he ults in their face. And now Wolves as well. He's just, oh, he got stopped.
That was a nice little repositioning from Uzzy,
like
hitting the wave and stopping the back at the same time. And that's just something that comes with a lot of experience when you're playing in the solo lane, just trying to find the most usage out of all your abilities.
It is probably the most micromanaged lane, right? Where it's just like everything you do is calculated for the most part, because one small misstep can lead to lost lanes.
You have to make sure that you don't play it one way. You don't want to play aggressive the whole time, but you don't want to play passive the whole time either. You have to do a nice balance, mixing and matching that kind of aggression and defensive style. And right now, it's pretty all even into the solo lane side of things. The purple pot was purchased from the Cabrakan, so earlier on, going to be a little bit of a favor for the Ravana moving forward.
But here's the thing I say about the purple pot, right? Is like, the thing is like, oh, if you don't get a kill, you know, it's kind of a waste. But isn't it just about the pressure? Because the Cabrakan probably would have lost more gold than he lost from the purple pot if Uzzy can get to a lead. Isn't that still an advantage for you?
It is, as long as you can also deny a lot of gold under the tower of the Ravana, which doesn't look like that's the case. So moving forward, just going to pick up his own blue buff right now. There's a delay blue buff coming from Ravana as he was able to pick his up a little bit later. So it's going to allow Wolves to kind of sustain that much further.
Yeah, and You can see he's going to pick up his blue buff, but the wave could be pushed under tower, but he's going to catch it in time. Keegs actually getting zoned out there a little bit on the left-hand side, and now aggression from Chapo. He is going to find Nemesis, walls him out. Oh, but a little bit of miscommunication. XCynosurex is going to ult in return and actually look to combine for the kill as Koiz is off the mark, can't find the pluck. And looks like both junglers just going to escape with their lives and purification down.
Very calm, cool, and collected with XCynosurex, making sure that he still looked for the offensive plays despite getting turned on there. He looked for the opportunity to look for the ultimate, having his team follow up. Unfortunately, not too many members. Brochacho in a lot of trouble, going to have to pluck away. He's going to be safe, going to have to back. Gold Fury is up. Red buff has respawned, and all of Most Wanted is positioning themselves for it.
And Wolves, it'll be fine over there, and that red buff going to be stolen away. But Cloud popping his ult a little bit too early. Brochacho probably would have died there. However, Cloud thinking they had the damage to burst through him. At the very least, it forced the Crocodile back, and nothing that SoaR can do right now. Honestly, SoaR are playing this pretty well, right? They haven't died once, despite Most Wanted have a pretty massive lead. They're just positioning, and they're kind of allowing Most Wanted to take their buffs. They're not too worried about it.
They're trying to look for another play with SamBam waiting for Chapo, not going to find the stun, going to use Amamatsu, not on the mark, just a bit out of range. The duration not long enough to find that hit. Losing the second red buff at the 630 mark is going to hurt a little bit on SoaR, but like you mentioned, they still have opportunities. We see the Thor and the Scylla. They can synergize very well off of each other. The later this goes, they find one Tectonic Rift combo from Scylla, somebody's going to die once the levels come online.
Yeah, and Wolves in a little bit of trouble as well, but Uzzy's getting turned on. He doesn't have enough mana. His ultimate is online, and he is not going to be able to jump over the wall, actually combined for the kill. I think he was just shy of the mana requirements to finish it off. And now Chapo just going to walk away after his friend dies. First blood over to Most Wanted. That's what they've been looking for all game.
Very aggressive is Keegs. He's actually trying to run.
Perfect.
Purification being used as well as the slow, just trying to survive the ultimate. Had that been one more tick, that might have been a kill. Meanwhile, on the Fire Giant side of things, Scylla's just going to disengage. Cloud looking to maybe chase this down. We do have Wolves securing the kill onto SamBam. That's 2 kills for Most Wanted coming online for the 8-minute mark. They're trying to extend this lead right now, and with the speed buff as well, they're looking very solid, Most Wanted.
Probably going to be able to steal away the blue buff as well, if that's a possibility. And they're going to see that it is up 2,600 in the lead right now for the squad. And here comes the Sobek. Brochacho is going to be able to read this as the gap is closed by ImthegodElchapo as well. But the blue buff's already been stolen. Oh, Cloud walked by himself over there. Forced to ult. Actually in a lot of trouble here.
The heal should be good. Going to buy his team a little bit of time. Going to silence as well. Looks like they're going to sacrifice Cloud. They did successfully steal the speed buff away and the blue buff away from SoaR. Sacrificing Cloud's life at that was kind of worth, I would say.
Yeah, but he didn't really have to die. I mean, he just kind of walked away from his team. His team went to the right. He went to the left and walked straight into 3 members. But still, Most Wanted have a massive lead. 2,500 at only 8 to 9 minutes here. And maybe another kill.
Chapo trying to juke.
Good jukes, actually.
A lot of
real good jukes.
The hammer's good.
Bye-bye.
He's fine.
Come on, XCynosurex, man. You just got run around, dude. We've actually seen a ton of just like ring around the rosy jukes so far.
It's always interesting to see, like especially if you have the mobility, so you can always kind of look for the peekaboos.
Oh yeah, just kind of like in and out. Chapo had boots 3. XCynosurex had boots 3 to be fair though too. And he's actually going into what looks like the
Void Shield.
The Void Shield.
It's going to be
meta now.
It's going to be really nice to have that kind of extra shred, especially with the Nemesis ulti. You're already stealing a lot of protections. You're going to be doing that much more. SamBam not having Purification online, finally using his Sentinel just to escape, but not before he took about 75% of his health.
Yeah, the best thing when it comes to the shred from Void Shields is it applies after, like it's not like a percentage or like it's applying after you steal. So you're stealing their full protections away, 50% of it, and then on top of that you're getting the 20 afterwards. So it's so massive. Whereas if you look at items like the old Executioner, it kind of worked against it where it would shred the flat and then take the percentage.
So Void Shield going to get locked in. Uzzy is in a little bit of trouble. The trade favoring Wolves a little bit. He's trying to build his shield off of the passive, but the cooldown's coming online for Wolves. So Uzzy just going to walk away. Meanwhile, the Sobek does fall. The Ricochet not going to connect. The knockup is there. The in-hands are just a little bit off the mark for Transonics.
They were baiting him there, but Clow couldn't close the gap in time. You could see he was using his Wing Gust trying to get closer and then max range Spirit Ball, but instead, the team's going to turn their attention over to the Gold Fury. XCynoSure finds Chapo in the mid lane, just going to poke him out here, and Clow's tanking this up, and he's got to reset as Chapo takes to the sky.
Just forcing out the Thor ultimate. Really good positioning coming out of XCynoSure. He could have potentially even used... I'm sorry, his ultimate was down. I was thinking he could have used the ultimate after the hammer, but
I think
poking him out.
I think this is going to be conceded by SoaR. I mean, it's an Isis ult. There's no way they're going to be able to contest it, and there it goes. The ult from Keegs a little bit too late, and actually in a little bit of trouble. The Ricochet, does he have it? It doesn't matter. Still, BroChacho rotates in. Going to successfully peel for his Hunter.
Sobek's level 8 right now, and with Khepri coming around the corner, I'm not really sure what shot. I guess he's just trying to clear the wave and poke at the same time, kind of multitasking, but there's nobody even close to him. Thor doesn't have ultimate to the side of him, so there's no follow-up. Uzzy's going to take a spill to Wolf, so Most Wanted with a very commanding start right now at the 11-minute mark, getting that Gold Fury, constantly stealing these buffs as well. They get about a 4,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and you could see the rotation was coming in from Chapo, but the second that Uzzy dies, he immediately goes back over to the right-hand side. And I mean, this is really, really well played for Most Wanted. I mean, they came in with the strategy and they've been executing it flawlessly, just constant invades. And shoutouts to SoaR, at least in the very early game, they did a lot to kind of stem the bleeding off of the original Khepri invade. They only got down by about, 1,000. But ever since then, I mean, it's just been Most Wanted continuously finding these advantages.
You got to give a lot of credit to Most Wanted, because even though they came off strong with the invade from the Khepri Wrath, they were able to extend that, but it wasn't the exact same strategy of speed buff invade. They just grouped up S4 around the red buff twice in a row. And that's kind of what sparked Most Wanted into a good position coming off of that speed buff.
And they also kind of kept coordinating their timings as well. Right as the red buff or speed buff spawned, they would look to gank someone. And even if it wasn't successful, which it wasn't in a lot of these cases, they at least poked them out so they had that man advantage going into the invade.
It was just, I think it was more of the Isis control, the CC control from early on. The Scylla, she has the damage, but the Isis has the utility, whereas it's kind of vice versa as well. The Thor does have a lot of damage and utility. Forcing out the Purification, Alba Monster connects onto Cloud, but not until the Khepri uses his ultimate to bail him out.
And Chapo can't find the kill there. I mean, even without the Khepri out, Cloud was still probably fine, but Uzzy locked in, caged in on the right-hand side, trying to get out of the Tremors, and he will, but XCynoSure trying to chase under. Really good route. If that doesn't connect, Uzzy's dead, and he's bought time for BroChacho to make the rotation. Flings Wolves back into the tower, is going to ult here, and Chapo waiting around the corner, but he can't help out. He's just way too low.
Uzzy, it was way too low, like you mentioned, to follow up off of the pluck. It was a good idea, just nobody in position for SoaR. SamBam going to eat one Wing Gust, and the mid wave going to get cleared out. Meanwhile, on this dueling side of things, Keeks constantly getting pressured out. So that tier 1 tower on the dueling side is going to fall very quickly. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, looks like a lot of members from Most Wanted are trying to get that red buff yet again, potentially.
There's just so much pressure all across the map. Every time we take a look at the left-hand side, Transonics is trying to force the 1v1 on Keegs. He's getting the better of him. You could see almost has that item level lead, and now Keegs, oh, okay, I thought he was going to get pinched for a second, but XCynoSure actually just stealing away the boars. Tier 1 tower will fall. First tower in the dual lane completed, and I mean, Most Wanted, I mean, just continuously finding their lead. 6K now, and I mean, it's only been one Gold Fury.
It's very quick transitioning right now off of these sort of objective steals that they're constantly doing. That's a third red buff invade that they've gotten. I think they've stolen about maybe 2 speed buffs and about 2 blue buffs as well. So all across the board, not just the left side, but also the right, Most Wanted all over the place.
I mean, they've stolen at least 3, because they got the first invade on the speed as well from the Khepri. And then the red buff, I mean, it hasn't been in the hand since the first spawn onto SamBam. It's just been so brutal for them. Transonics has it in his pocket right now. XCynoSure is isolated by himself, but Wolves gonna make the rotation, and trouble as KeegsMate just takes so much damage from the Ricochet, has to jump away, and Wolves is gonna isolate BroChacho. 4 members of Kingdom here, or excuse me, Most Wanted, gonna be looking at Uzzy, but he is gonna be able to walk out for free, but still, Most Wanted just pushing SoaR back.
The only way that SoaR can realistically get back into this game is if they utilize their jungle control between the Thor and the Scylla, but nobody from Most Wanted is isolated, so it's just not happening for SoaR.
And the tier 1 falls, so just pressure continues as the blue buff and speed buff have been stolen away once again. Chapo trying to find some split push, but he's leaving his team a man down in the mid. I mean, this is just a numbers advantage that Most Wanted are going to look to take advantage of.
You have to be very desperate when you're going to give up a tier 2 just for a tier 1 at this point in time, but he does back right now. He does have the ultimate available to him. Gonna elect to teleport instead. The chase is on from Brochacho. Thor going up into the air.
Everyone actually grouped, but now they've split up in time, and SamBam gonna try and combine with his jungler for a kill, but it's not gonna be off the mark. It actually only connects onto Wolves, who's so tanky, but Wolves still gonna die to Chapo, and Uzzy moves forward as well. The ricochet is good, Spirit Ball off the mark, but Most Wanted are pushing forward. Matt Koiz very low, needs to be careful about his positioning, but he does have ult, and Most Wanted elect to back off there, so overall, SoaR find 1 kill and hold their tier 2.
Very important, the fact that they held their tier 2. Weren't able to get the tier 1 on right, but the rotation from Chapu was good enough. And with that, Gold Fury has respawned, so I would still say Most Wanted could easily just ward around the Gold Fury, look for somebody out of position from SoaR, look for that easy pick, because they only lost that 1 pick because of the fact that they took the fight under the tier 2 tower. Right? So if they take a fight in the open jungle side of things, it would be a lot easier for Most Wanted.
I mean, they still have a 6k gold lead as well, right? 2 items now online for xCynosurex. He's just got such a massive advantage over Chapo, who's only finished off his Jotun's Wrath. Isis in the mid lane, gone in the Dynasty, played Helm, so Clow not looking for the utility build that he normally does, but he still has that 2-level XP advantage. And Gold Fury's up. I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you. Most Wanted should definitely be looking to bait this out. They don't want to allow SoaR to climb back into this one.
Red buff has respawned as well for SoaR, and that's something that Most Wanted has been eyeing the whole time. It could be something that they give up just to try to burn gold, but it doesn't look like it. They're still trying to position themselves around gold. Tier 1 on the right-hand side does fall. Really good split push coming out of Chapu. Wolves trying to maybe find a kill or at least force the Thor to back. Hammer's going to come out, avoiding the stun. Really nicely done.
And yeah, you can see Chapo there has ult, but he doesn't want to waste it before the Gold Fury started up. At the very least, Wolves, I mean, he's just keeping Chapo busy right now. 4v4 over on the Gold Fury, and there's the Ice Assault to secure it. It should go in their favor. Actually, it does go to Most Wanted. Very close there as Clow mistimes his ult, but he is by himself. Good silence. Going to keep the team at bay, but sprints popped, and now Brochacho flings him back in here. And it's going to be Transonics trying to peel SamBam over the wall, finds a crush, and now Clo very low, but he does get the reset straight into the ultimate from I'm a Monster, but it's not in time. Uzzy still cleans up Matt Koiz. Brochacho takes out Clow, and now SoaR fighting back into this one. They did lose the Gold Fury, but now they have the team fight advantage. The team's looking at Wolves here, and he's in trouble.
He's body blocked. He has nowhere to go. He's going to find a nice triple stun. He's going to walk around. So 2 for nothing exchange so far in the favor of SoaR. The question is, can they find any more kills? They need to find this tier 1 tower. They lost the second Gold Fury, and 18-minute mark, they need some objectives with a 5v3.
I mean, with Wolves backing, they do have an advantage, but he's going to teleport back in, get flung as well, but stopped actually thanks to the wall, and Brochacho actually taking so much damage, and Wolves locks him in. And even though they're down 3-5, I mean, Most Wanted are still fighting into this one. Wolves gets 4 members in the Trigger, and that's going to stop SoaR. It's going to slow them down. SamBam very low as well, but a great wall from Brochacho, going to keep 2 on the wrong side of it. Wolves chasing forward, finds Uzzy, but I don't think he's going to be able to find the kill. And the tier 1 tower overall falls, and I have to give that still to Most Wanted. The Gold Fury was enough.
Definitely. They weren't able to defend the tier 1 tower. They found the return kill. They're going to find more buffs, so this is very annoying for Chapu. He's never having his speed buff available to him when he needs it the most, and taking away the blue buff as well. Most Wanted just extending their control over the jungle side of things. The red buff was taken on the left, so not going to invade that. But with this, around the 19-minute mark, Most Wanted is about 6,000 gold up, still about 6.5, despite losing that tier 1 mid tower.
And I mean, it's really been about the buff steals, right? It's just been, if we have jungle control, like it's gonna be all in Most Wanted favor, like probably like 80%. It's been super brutal, and SoaR just trying to fight back into it. The team fights have been relatively even when you look at the kills, only 4-5. However, just it's just the experience. I mean, they've just been getting stripped across the board. So
the thing is with Most Wanted, they've been playing very aggressive throughout this whole game, but their kit, they all can also play counter-aggressive if they wanted to. They have the Khepri in their disposal. They have the Nemesis ulti to counter-engage off the Sobek block. And they have the Isis ultimate, exactly. So it's very difficult for SoaR to really do something unless they have the number advantage, or they can find a lot of members from Most Wanted grouped up, which they did around the red buff, where that crush did hit 3 members.
Yeah, and you saw that, right? You were talking about even when they have the numbers advantage, it's not going to be clean. Under the tier 1, it was a 5v3 fight, but still Most Wanted are able to find a kill in the end. Obviously, they did lose the tower, but it's only a tier 1, so it's nothing too devastating. And the map positioning, probably not going to give advantage, probably not going to help out SoaR this late in the game when Fire Giant's going to be the next objective looked at.
Right now, so lane just Gonna find the vision for Most Wanted. Not gonna look to bait it out. They're not that far ahead where they want to force anything too crazy right now. Voidstone being picked up by the Cabrakan, just gonna make sure that he's able to survive against the Scylla. When he's sitting still in his tremors, the Scylla's gonna be looking at him as an easy target to root and crush, because if you can hit the root, you might hit multiple targets. So why not try to hit that Cabrakan?
And Wolves right now, level 18. Has played pretty well overall, 3-1-1. Only found himself dead in one team fight, but that was when kind of like the team was diving the tier 2. But once again, Most Wanted grouped up here. They want to try and force this. They do see Keegs over on the left-hand side, but the Anhur has started to rotate over. And now, Most Wanted here looking to jump in. And I mean, I guess it's got to be Wolves on the front line, right? You don't want the Khepri there.
There's 3 buffs available for Most Wanted, only 1 on the side of SoaR. Engage happening on the backhand side. Wolves finding a lot of people under the tremors. Gonna juke out the pluck as well. Uzzy in a lot of trouble. Gonna have the ultimate away. Tier 2 tower does fall. Ice's ultimate and Hui ultimate as well. Brochacho might be in a little bit of trouble.
He should be fine. Spirit Ball connects onto him, but the tier 2 has been successfully sieged, and really that's all that Most Wanted was looking for. You can see the team looking to back up. So Wolves burns his blinks, and I mean, he just jumps into the back line and just distracts 3, right? And he is so tanky, level 18. He's not even item-wise that tanky, right? He's only got a little bit of health from the Wing Blade, and then not the strongest protection from the Void Shield, or Void Stone. That's more of like a hybrid item, but still, just because of how far SoaR are behind in levels to him, they can't find him. And then the rest of the team just group up, take care of Uzzy, and finish off the tower.
And what was beautiful about that also was the fact that the Cabrakan was able to just stop the tremors and avoid the Sobek pluck at the same time. That would have put him in a lot of trouble getting closer and closer to that Phoenix.
And now, Most Wanted, they've got themselves about an 8k gold lead. Gold Fury going to be spawning soon. So I don't think they're going to be looking at the Fire Giant just yet. However, I think Transonics is pretty close to full build. Only needs 1 item and 1 rank into that Wind Demon. So they do have the damage to complete it, as well as that Isis ultimate.
As long as the Khepri can set up the Hui just to do a lot of damage, this is going to be into Most Wanted's favor. Wolf's going to get poked out a little bit by this Ravana. He's in an interesting position. There's no rotation, however, because there's another fight going on in the mid lane.
Oh, actually, a lot of aggression as Brochacho off the mark on the pluck. But he is going to stop Most Wanted, as the team could have looked to dive Chapo. And here's going to be Transonics. He was starting up the Gold Fury, but instead rotates in. And they don't even need this kill. They've already poked out the Crocodile, which means straight to the Gold Fury for him.
No teleport available to him, as he is the support, not a solo lane Croc. And Gold Fury being started, the Isis ultimate is available. Wrath is available as well. So it should be able to be secured by Most Wanted, unless they want to disengage, but nobody's in position for SoaR.
Yeah, SoaR actually conceding this one once again. I mean, it's a fight they probably couldn't take. Chapo went back to base because he had been poked out. He did have the teleport, but he would have been late to the engagement. And Sobek as well. Brochacho, I mean, he just took so much damage from Transonics that he couldn't get in there. So instead, they're going to give KeegsMate actually the red buff.
Looking at the player damage right now, Cabrakan has been doing a lot of work in these team fights. We saw that last engage where he was able to go into the back line, and it's clearly shown how much of a distraction, how much of a force he has. 3-1-1 right now. Having the mobility with the Wing Blade, the physical and the magical protection with the Breastplate, with the Void Stone. However, he doesn't have the health necessarily, but as long as he's able to just buy a little bit of time, that's all he really needs.
I mean, he's still a Guardian, so his base health is very high, as well as having the Wing Blade just a little bit extra. And you can see Chapo doing everything he can to try and get this farm. He stole away the boars, and he's going to be starting up the split push on this tier 1, but Clow's run into him. This is interesting. I'm really surprised that Clow has come by himself, but with Wolves around the corner as well, should be safe.
He's feeling very confident. He has both of his relics online. He has Wing Blade available to potentially run away if necessary. Both teams positioning around the Fire Giant at this point in time. They're trying to get the good vision control, favoring Most Wanted a little bit. A lot of aggro wards and a lot of really good passive sentry ward underneath too, making sure that there's no vision control coming out of SoaR that deep.
Oh, Chapo, short teleport there. You could see he wanted to go aggressive on a Clow, who's actually taking a ton of damage, but he's really just looking to set up for his team as the rotation's good from Transonics. Chapo gonna see this though, and hammers away, and that was great from SoaR. So not only does Clow get poked out a little bit, but also the team gets distracted and send 3 over to left-hand side, but the pillar, oh Keegs. Brochacho trying to find xCynosurex.
That was unfortunate. Did force out the Soul Reaver on the dual lane side of things. So this next team fight, the Soul Reaver will be back up in about 30 seconds. Something that Most Wanted is probably going to hold off to until that's back off cooldown internally. Looking forward to the future, Cabrakan is pushing in the dual lane side of things, making sure that he can utilize his teleport to very effectively. Thor on the other side also having teleports, so he can easily catch up with him. And going forward into the Fire Giant side, just more kind of positioning battles, trying to find the right angle. Cabrakan not able to find the stun. Really good wall from Chapu. The tower not really getting too poked out at this point in time.
And you can see Fire Giant still being looked at by Most Wanted. This time, though, it's not going to be Clow over here. It is Wolves, who's much tankier, as well as has the TP to get into the engagement. And it's actually going to be KeegsMate in a little bit of trouble. Brochacho trying to peel for him. Keegs on the defensive, being chased down, and the sprint will keep him alive.
So just teams kind of resetting right now. The Root and the Crush barely off the mark. Clow, really good idea juking it. And with that 4 members on the side of the Fire Giant, the teleport is coming online for Wolves. So Most Wanted going to try to force this, or at least bait out SoaR to come in.
And Brochacho, or Chapo, needs to make a decision. He is going to teleport back here, so he should be in this engagement right in the middle of it, but Uzzy is isolated by his team. And a good job from SoaR so far, disengaging successfully. Most Wanted need to find one player isolated, and that's not going to help with Matt Koiz off the mark on the pluck. But Brochacho's in trouble, and here comes SamBam, but the connection isn't going to be there with the I'm a Monster, and this fight could turn in favor of SoaR, actually, as KeegsMate takes out Koiz, and Wolves is very low as well. Transonics by himself, and it's going to be 2-0 already in favor of SoaR.
They're not done yet. SoaR wants to keep going. Nice overhead kick to prevent the stun, but going to get slowed out by the ultimate from xCynosurex. Uzzy in a lot of trouble, taking a lot of poke. However, SamBam going to zone away Clow from continuing on. xCynosurex going to dash into the rest of the members from SoaR. Going to get plucked. Purification just a little bit too late. The shield going to buy him a little bit of time, though, in the future.
And Clow now by himself, isolated. The wall is good, and he's got nowhere to go. His ult going to come out pretty late there. And that fight was very surprising in favor of SoaR. You could see Most Wanted just kind of getting poked out repeatedly as SoaR was kiting them around. And then the Ice Assault was used very late into that engagement, despite Chapo coming out finding 2 or 3 in a stun.
It was a really nice disengage that they had. The overhead kicks were just on point from Uzzy. Brochacho was able to pluck away right before that Cabrakan ultimate came online. xCynosurex trying to find something, going to get knocked back by the Anhur, but not before the Sanctuary was procced. Chapu going to go into the air, going to look for xCynosurex potentially here. Fire Giant is still being aggressed on. However, on the left-hand side, there's a split push from the Hui as well. Fire Giant at 30%.
Oh, wow. Chapo in a little bit of trouble, and he's going to fall in return. And actually, Fire Giant was dropped, so a big misplay coming up from Most Wanted. Chasing kills. xCynosurex going to get the revive from Khepri. And SoaR just completely dropped their lead.
Look at the left-hand side, though. Hui still pushing. They have a huge creep wave. Scylla is there, using the Sentinel, trying to get in a position to clear the wave and getting the Phoenix really low. Not going to commit to actually getting it, but no, Fire Giant not even being started. They could have potentially started the Fire Giant during all that with 2 members on the left-hand side, but playing it super safe is Most Wanted.
I mean, one of the things that you don't do in video games, one of the major sins is to chase kills. And that's exactly what happened for SoaR there. I mean, xCynosurex was already out, right? They could have just sent 1 person to deal with him. Instead, 3 members, the Khepri just walks forward, SoaR are forced to drop the Fire Giant there, and then xCynosurex is even able to take out Chapo.
They got it really close, too. It was about 30%. And they couldn't really secure the Fire Giant against a Khepri that had the Wrath. So it was a good idea for SoaR to kind of disengage. It's just unfortunate that they weren't able to connect the abilities that they needed to on xCynosurex fast enough.
Now, I think they should have just stopped chasing him, right? They spent 3 members over there. It was at 30%, but if there was 1 or 2 other people at the Fire Giant, that would have been done. Wasn't Keegs chasing him as well, the Hunter?
Yes, Keegs was the one that jumped on him.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate because the Sanctuary, right before the knockup from the Anhur jump happened, the Sanctuary got procced by the Nemesis. So that bought her just enough time to double dash away and basically allowed the Khepri to rotate, force off SoaR from the Fire Giant as well, because you're not going to be doing Fire Giant in front of a Khepri that has the Wrath available.
Yeah, by that, once the Khepri rotates in, it's done. You got to drop it. But right now, Fire Giant still being circled, SoaR down about 11,000 in gold, and the builds are starting to be completed for Most Wanted. You can see almost everyone outside of the support and mid have finished off what they were looking for. Chapo is going to find the split push against Wolves. Oh no, oh, that's brutal for him. Honestly, Wolves could just ult here if he wants. The ult is online from Chapo.
He's going to be patient. He has speed buff available to him. Wolves just going to force out the ultimate from Thor as the disengage occurs. Cabrakan does have teleport, so does the Thor. There is an engage in the soul lane side of things. Brochacho going to get plucked and stunned out. He's trying to run away, going to use his ultimate and sprint. However, the rotation from Wolves not going to find the kill onto Brochacho. The Hui ultimate, though, is good.
And now Uzzy isolated on the wrong side of the Cabrakan. He has to jump over the wall here. Oh, and SamBam gets hit by the long-range Spirit Ball from Clow. Plucked out as well. One more member. Uzzy trying to stay alive. KeegsMate throwing in the autos, but he's going to get hit by the ricochet. Stunned as well. Tries to get away, but Transonics has already finished him off. Uzzy, Chapo, the only two alive for SoaR. All 5 members of Most Wanted walk away from that fight, and they're going to find the final tower as well.
They don't necessarily even need to go for Fire Giant off of this. They have a 3-player advantage. Isis does have ultimate, so she could use it potentially for Fire Giant after they safely secure this right side Phoenix, no problem. It's only the Thor, it's only Ravana. A lot of nice CC coming online for Most Wanted, gonna force the disengage coming out of SoaR.
And Chapo just trying to do everything he can. Uzzy's around the corner as well, but he's been ulted, and he has no way to get out of this. There it is, Mystic Rush just up in time. And now Chapo to the sky. Wolves very low, trying to back go, and he does get away. But now Chapo's in the middle of 3, has to hammer as Brochacho looks to peel for him, which will be successful. But Most Wanted, they already got the Phoenix. They have a 15,000 gold lead as well.
Purification was used on the Isis, and this is something SoaR has to exploit in this next Fire Giant encounter. And Most Wanted is definitely going to try for it because they're up 14 to 15,000 gold at this point in time. They got the right side Phoenix as well. So this is a situation where they want to back, they want to find the good aggressive wards and bait SoaR into a team fight.
And right now, SoaR, they're facing a full build, fully maxed level team outside of the Khepri, but still. This is kind of a spot where all SoaR need to do is hold once. If they can hold once, Most Wanted's lead actually can't get any larger, right? Outside of 3K pots, which is something they're not super worried about just yet. So as long as they can win one fight, and a lot of that might come down to SamBam, right? He really needs a Scylla ult. He needs a reset, and he probably needs to finish his Rod of Tahuti.
He also needs to hit level 20 to make sure that he gets more magical power off of maxing those abilities. And the resets on the Amma Monster is what's going to determine whether SoaR not going to be successful in this next encounter.
And look at this, the split coming out from Most Wanted here. They're just going to push up the left-hand side with Wolves, force Chapo to rotate over. And it's going to be a Fire Giant bait once again. And Most Wanted, they probably don't want to get too crazy right now. They're just going to play it safe.
Well, Cabrakan split pushing on the left-hand side. His teleport is going to be up in about 20 seconds or so he's just going to try to utilize that. However, Transonics taking a lot of poke from Chapo. He's going to be forced to back.
And now Wolves is going to be rotating in. And Cloud by himself, he needs to be careful here, but the team's going to be looking for this. Khepri, Koiz, max range, going to get stunned out, and there's the pillar as well. He's body blocked in, and he should fall, but he gets the ult off in time. Scared's blessing is going to be good, but Chapo from the sky looking to time it perfectly, and he comes down, should get the kill. One more hit, but Transonics with the stun saves the life of Khepri just barely. And the hope that SoaR had quickly pulled away. SamBam forced to ult as well, just trying to stay alive.
It was a nice double root, double crush, forcing out the Sanctuary from Clow, as we do have Uzzy forced to ult away. Another nice double root, double crush coming out of SamBam. The chase is on from Most Wanted. They need to find some kills. The slow from Keeks. However, he's going to get knocked out. Nowhere for him to go inside that Cabrakan ultimate. They're going to find the return kill. 2-0 so far in the favor of Most Wanted. Right side is being pushed. There's a fire wave under that Titan room. They're going to look to set their sights onto the middle Phoenix right now from Most Wanted.
I mean, this could be the game close out. Still 3 members looking at SamBam to put a lot of this weight on his back. But we've seen the roots and the crushes. They're kind of just tickling Most Wanted right now. Just not enough magical power this late in the game on a Scylla. And Most Wanted are pushing in. They're trying to take out the champions of the North American SCL. Isis ult is dropped. The Titan very low. There goes the pop from the Circle of Protection, and it's going to be good. Most Wanted take out SoaR 1-0 so far. This is a 2-game set, however, but looking really good. They had a strategy coming into the game, and they executed it exactly how they needed to.
Unfortunately, one of these two teams had to lose. They both came into this game 4-0, and Most Wanted seemed like they prepared for this game specifically a lot better. They grouped up as 5 in the beginning of the game. They put some aggressive warding around both mid-harpies and then on the speed buff of SoaR, and they utilized it perfectly with that Khepri Wrath invade.
Yeah, we saw exactly what they wanted to do, front to back though, but there is a second game in this. SoaR are going to try and answer back. We'll be back after a very short break.